It began on an ordinary night, or at least, that's how it seemed to Shu Kai. The bustling city lights of Beijing flickered outside his window as he sat on the couch of his high-rise apartment, finally letting out a breath after a grueling day of filming. The silence in the room was soothing, interrupted only by the faint hum of the city below. He poured himself a glass of water, ready to call it a night, when suddenly, his phone buzzed. At first, he didn't think much of it. Shu Kai was used to late-night calls, directors confirming schedules, managers reminding him of early interviews, even close friends checking in. But this call was different. The screen flashed with a number he didn't recognize. Private. No name. No hint. Just an incoming call that felt, strangely, heavy. Against his better judgment, he picked up. Shu Kai. The voice on the other end was quiet, trembling, almost broken. And in that instant, his entire world shifted. He froze. He knew that voice. He hadn't heard it in years, but it was burned into his memory like a scar. His chest tightened, his grip on the phone shaking slightly. He whispered, almost afraid to say it aloud. Songyun. Tan Songyun. The woman who had once been his co-star, his confidant, and though they never admitted it publicly, the one person who had come closest to breaking down his carefully built walls. Their connection had always been electric on-screen, but off-screen, things had spiraled into silence, miscommunication, and a distance that neither of them dared to bridge again. Until now. But why now? Why this call, in the middle of the night? Shu Kai, her voice cracked, I didn't know who else to call. The way she said it made his blood run cold. Something was wrong. Something serious. His instincts kicked in before his doubts could. He stood up, pacing his living room, his voice low and urgent. What happened? Where are you? There was silence on the line for a moment, only the sound of muffled breathing, as if she was trying to steady herself. Then, she whispered something that sent shivers down his spine. They found out. Those 3 words changed everything. Shu Kai knew immediately what she meant. Their bond, hidden carefully from the public eye, buried under layers of denials and professional smiles, was never meant to see the light. Rumors had swirled in the past, yes, but they had both moved on, or at least pretended to. And now, suddenly, she was saying someone had uncovered the truth. But who? And how? Songyun, listen to me, he said, his voice firm, even though his own heart was racing. Where are you? I'll come to you right now. But before she could answer, the line crackled. Static filled his ear. Then silence. The call dropped. Shu Kai stared at his phone, stunned. For the first time in years, he felt powerless. He tried calling back, but the number was blocked. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. That night, Shu Kai couldn't sleep. He paced the apartment, replaying the call over and over in his head. Was it real? Was she in danger? Or was this some elaborate setup? In his industry, nothing was impossible. Leaks, traps, even betrayals from people he once trusted, it wouldn't be the first time. But something about her voice, raw and vulnerable, told him this was no game. The next morning, the headlines confirmed his fears. Anonymous source claims Shu Kai and Tan Songyun shared secret meetings in Shanghai. Unreleased footage suggests a hidden connection between the 2 stars. Shu Kai's late-night phone call exposed. The internet exploded. Fans speculated wildly, some digging up old clips of their dramas, others analyzing behind-the-scenes footage, pointing out every glance, every touch. Suddenly, what had once been their private reality was public entertainment. And Shu Kai knew the call wasn't just a warning, it was the beginning of something much bigger. That same day, as if on cue, another message arrived. Not a call this time, but a simple text from an unknown number. If you want to protect her, meet me tonight. Alone. It was like stepping into a scene from a thriller drama he might star in, only this time, it wasn't scripted. His career, his reputation, even his safety, it was all on the line. But Shu Kai didn't hesitate. He went. The meeting place was an abandoned cafe on the outskirts of the city. Dim lights, creaking doors, shadows that stretched unnervingly across the floor. He walked in cautiously, every sense on high alert. And there she was, Tan Songyun, sitting at a corner table, her eyes wide with fear but softening the moment they met his. The reunion was wordless at first. He rushed to her side, his hand reaching for hers instinctively, like no time had passed. She looked exhausted, her usually bright smile replaced with tension. "They know everything," she whispered. "The photos, the messages, even that night in Shanghai." Shu Kai's mind raced. Someone had been following them, tracking them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But why now? And who was pulling the strings? Before he could ask, footsteps echoed through the cafe. A man emerged from the shadows, his face partially covered, his voice calm yet chilling. "You two have a choice," he said. "Stay silent, and I release everything. Speak up, and I'll destroy more than your careers." The threat hung heavy in the air. Shu Kai felt his jaw clench. This wasn't just about their reputations, it was about control, power, and someone trying to use their past against them. But in that moment, with Songyun trembling beside him, he knew one thing for certain: he wasn't going to let her face this alone. "Then destroy me," Shu Kai said coldly, stepping forward. "But you won't touch her." The man smirked, as if amused by his defiance. "We'll see." And just like that, the figure disappeared into the night, leaving behind more questions than answers. Shu Kai turned back to Songyun, pulling her into a protective embrace. For the first time in years, they weren't just co-stars, or friends, or almost lovers. They were allies in a storm they never saw coming. That single phone call had not only reconnected them but thrown them into a dangerous game where every move was being watched. Who was the faceless man? What exactly did he have on them? And why did it feel like this was only the beginning? In the days that followed, Shu Kai tried to continue with his normal schedule, press events, filming, public appearances, but he was haunted by the weight of what had happened. Every time his phone buzzed, his heart skipped. Was it another threat? Another warning? Or maybe, another chance to protect her? Behind the scenes, he and Songyun met in secret, trying to piece together the puzzle. They retraced their steps, revisiting old places, old memories, searching for the leak. And in doing so, they uncovered something neither of them expected. The bond they thought had faded was stronger than ever. Every whispered conversation, every shared glance carried a mix of danger and longing. It was as if fate had forced them back into each other's lives, whether they were ready or not. One night, as they sat in a quiet park under the stars, Shu Kai turned to her and asked the question that had been burning inside him since the call. "Why did you call me, Songyun? After all this time, why me?" She looked at him, her eyes glistening. "Because I knew you'd answer." And just like that, Shu Kai realized this wasn't just about surviving the threats, or protecting their names. It was about something much deeper. Something worth risking everything for. Because sometimes, the call you never expect is the one that changes everything. And for Shu Kai, that call was only the beginning. The sound of her voice lingered in Shu Kai's ears long after the call ended. He replayed it over and over in his mind, the way she had whispered his name, the quiver of fear woven into each syllable. He hadn't spoken to Tan Songyun in years, yet the familiarity of her tone sliced through him like lightning. He couldn't tell if it was a dream, a trick, or a desperate plea that had slipped through the cracks of fate. His glass of water remained untouched on the coffee table. The apartment, usually a safe haven after chaotic filming schedules, felt suddenly suffocating. He stared at his phone, his thumb hovering over the call log, aching to call her back. But the number was gone. No record. No trace. As if the universe had handed him a ghost, only to snatch it away. Shu Kai sank into the couch, leaning forward, his fingers pressed against his temples. He tried to convince himself it was exhaustion, his brain weaving illusions from memories he had tried so hard to bury. But then he remembered her words, "they found out." His pulse quickened. Who were they? What had been found? The questions clawed at him. He stood up, pacing, his reflection in the glass window staring back like a stranger. Outside, the city lights sparkled, oblivious to the storm brewing inside his chest. Finally, he grabbed his jacket and headed out. He couldn't stay still, not when the weight of her voice echoed like a siren in his head. The night air was crisp, biting at his skin as he walked through the empty streets of Beijing. Cameras occasionally flashed from distant paparazzi, but for once, He didn't care. He was Shu Kai, the actor admired by millions, yet at this moment he was just a man haunted by a single phone call. He stopped at a quiet street corner cafe, one of those dimly lit places open late, the kind only night owls knew about. Sitting in a shadowed booth, he pulled out his phone again and scrolled through old contacts. Her number wasn't saved anymore, but he found her WeChat profile. It hadn't been active for months. No updates, no statuses, just silence. He typed a message anyway. "Songyun. Was that you?" He stared at the screen, waiting for the familiar 3 dots of a reply. Nothing came. His thoughts spiraled back to their past, the nights on set where they laughed until their stomachs hurt, the times when silence between them wasn't uncomfortable but comforting, the near confessions drowned out by fame and fear. And now, suddenly, she had reached out, with words that threatened everything. Hours passed. Just as he was about to leave, his phone buzzed again. He nearly dropped it. A new message. From a hidden number. "Don't look for me. It's not safe." Shu Kai's breath caught. His fingers flew over the screen. "Songyun, tell me where you are. I'll come." But no answer followed. Back in his apartment, he couldn't shake the unease. Every sound felt amplified, the ticking of the clock, the buzz of the fridge, even the faint whistle of the wind outside. He locked the doors, something he rarely bothered to do, and set his phone beside his bed, unable to sleep but unwilling to close his eyes. At 3:14 a.m., the phone rang again. This time, he answered instantly. "Songyun." His voice cracked with urgency. But what he heard wasn't her. It was static, heavy breathing, then a male voice, deep, distorted. "Stay away from her, Shu Kai. If you know what's good for you." The line went dead. Shu Kai sat frozen in the darkness, his heart thundering in his chest. Someone else was involved. Someone who knew not only about her but about him, about them. Sleep was impossible after that. He turned on every light in the apartment, the shadows suddenly too menacing, the silence too loud. For years, Shu Kai had built an image of control, disciplined, untouchable, always calm under pressure. But tonight, that image cracked. Fear wasn't something he was used to, but now it wrapped around him like chains. By morning, his team noticed the difference. His manager knocked on his door, frowning at his pale face and tired eyes. "You look like you've seen a ghost," the manager joked, trying to lighten the mood. Shu Kai forced a laugh. "Maybe I have." But inside, his mind was spinning. Should he tell someone? Should he confide in his team, in the people he trusted most? Or would speaking up only put Songyun in more danger? Later that day, during a magazine photo shoot, he found himself distracted. The cameras flashed, stylists adjusted his clothes, but his eyes kept darting to his phone on the nearby table. He couldn't focus, not when every vibration felt like it could be her. His co-star even teased him. "Who are you waiting on? A secret lover?" The words hit too close to home, and Shu Kai forced a smile to mask the panic rising inside him. When the shoot ended, he slipped away from his team and sat alone in his car. He scrolled back to the message again. "Don't look for me. It's not safe." He whispered aloud, as if she could somehow hear him through the night. "Then why did you call me?" The truth gnawed at him. She hadn't called anyone else. Not her closest friends. Not her family. She had called him. Out of all the people in the world, she had chosen Shu Kai. That realization was both comforting and terrifying. Comforting because their bond, no matter how fractured, was still alive. Terrifying because if she trusted him enough to call, then the danger she was in had to be real. That night, he received no calls. No texts. Only silence. But silence, Shu Kai realized, could be louder than screams. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, remembering the way she had whispered his name. "Shu Kai. I didn't know who else to call." And deep down, beneath the layers of fear and confusion, one thing became clear to him: he would find her. No matter who was watching. No matter what it cost. Because sometimes, the call you never expect isn't just a call. It's a doorway into a storm that changes everything. And Shu Kai had just stepped into it. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on more unbelievable stories about your favorite stars.